The dancing plague of Strasbourg, the bizarre plague of 1518. It was a hot July day in 1518 in Strasbourg, a bustling town in the Holy Roman Empire. Enter Frau Truffe, a German housewife of modest origins. Born into a hard-working family, she was known for her stern face, practical shoes, and a husband who probably thought fun was sharpening tools. But on that fateful morning, Frau Truffe stepped out of her home, looked at the cobblestone street, and, without music, without reason, started to get down to a boogie that no one else could hear. Imagine a medieval TikTok dance challenge, but with 0 likes and a horrified husband. Her husband, poor man, stood there mortified. He wasn't compelled to dance, so he just watched his wife bust moves like a possessed Beyoncé, muttering something like, "This is not what I signed up for." Frau Truffe danced all day. She stopped only for a few hours of restless sleep, then woke up and tapped her toes bloody again. By now, her feet looked like medieval hamburger patties, but she kept going. A crowd gathered. At first, villagers thought it was a quirky street performance. Oh look, Frau Truffe invented interpretive dance. But soon they realized this wasn't fun. This was agony. She danced herself toward death, and then it spread. Within days, 30 others joined her jitterbug, forming a spontaneous dance troupe. Soon, estimates say 400 people were involuntarily dancing in the streets of Strasbourg. It was like the world's worst flash mob. The city council panicked. They don't teach spontaneous rave management in medieval business school. The only thing they agreed on, these groovy kids were not having a groovy time. The dancers screamed in pain, begged for mercy, and collapsed from exhaustion. As the summer heat rose, up to 15 people a day were dying from non-stop dancing. Mick Jagger and David Bowie made it look fun, but this was medieval cardio gone wrong. Fresh out of ideas, the council called in physicians. After ruling out astrology and curses, the usual medieval suspects, doctors diagnosed the dancers with hot blood. Yes, that sounds like a Foreigner album, but it was actually a theory about overheated humors causing madness. The cure? Normally bloodletting. But since the patients couldn't stop moving, stabbing them with knives wasn't practical. So instead, the doctors prescribed more dancing. The council hired musicians to hype the crowd, thinking they'd burn out the dancers. But instead of playing slow jams to cool things down, the band cranked up the tempo. DJ Medieval Guy dropped bangers, and the afflicted dancers sped up. Passers-by thought it was a party and joined in. The cure made things worse. The city council decided the whole thing was obscene rock and roll music. If this dancing mania was a curse, then clearly Strasbourg had sinned too hard. Gambling houses? Shut down. Brothels? Out you go. Loose people with bad reputations? Banished. 1518 was a terrible time to be known as fun but scandalous. Shame was the new fashion trend, and because medieval logic demanded gifts to saints, the council donated a 100-pound candle to the cathedral. One candle. That was their big idea. Spoiler, the saints were not impressed. The dancers kept hustling, bleeding, and collapsing. The council went full footloose. They outlawed dancing entirely, slapping a fine of 30 shillings on anyone caught moving their hips. Music was banned too, except for string instruments at weddings. Tambourines and drums were declared dangerous. Apparently they triggered epidemics. Everyone knows the real dangerous instrument is the saxophone. Too sexy. Saints can't handle it. But despite outlawing fun, the epidemic continued. Strasbourg was still shaking. This wasn't even the first outbreak. In 1374, Aachen had its own dance mania, but theirs looked more like a medieval Hands Across America. People held hands in circles, danced for hours, then collapsed in exhaustion. Officials blamed demonic possession. Exorcists stormed in, splashing holy water and shouting incantations. Honestly, it sounds like Aachen just didn't know what to do. And when all else fails, medieval Europe had a favorite scapegoat: blame the women. 10 years after Strasbourg's plague fizzled out, Renaissance physician Paracelsus showed up to diagnose the WTF situation. His theory? Forced natural dancing was like a reflex, triggered by body manipulation. But because it was the 1500s, he also blamed women. He singled out Frau Truffe, claiming she danced to avoid housework. According to him, her husband asked her to do something she didn't want to, so she rebelled by dancing until her feet bled. Because, women famously prefer bleeding toes to chores. Paracelsus really needed better hobbies. With medicine failing, Strasbourg turned to Saint Vitus, a child martyr from 303. His tormentors boiled him in lead and tar, then tossed him to a lion. Instead of being eaten, the lion licked his hands like a friendly puppy. Vitus walked away with a new pet and sainthood. Since Vitus was known for curing trembling limbs, Strasbourg prayed to him. They carted the afflicted dancers up a mountain to his shrine. Priests gave mass, handed out red shoes blessed with holy oil, and, hallelujah, the mania broke. The dancers regained control, and the plague ended. Historians still debate the cause. Grain poisoning, ergot, could cause convulsions, but not coordinated dance routines. Epilepsy doesn't spread like a rave. Secret cults? Possible, but unlikely given the agony and deaths. Most likely, mass hysteria. Strasbourg had endured famines, disease, overcrowded orphanages, and fear of possession. The city was primed for collective madness. And so the cure was not medicine, not bands, not candles, but a pilgrimage to St. Vitus and a pair of blessed red shoes. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's strangest block parties. A mix of famine, fear, superstition, and hysteria turned Strasbourg into a medieval rave that nobody wanted to attend. And like every good festival, it ended with sore feet, bad music, and questionable fashion choices. Let us know your thoughts on the dancing plague of Strasbourg in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have sure ideas, we'd love to hear from you.